When I finally found my brother in that forest, he was sitting at the base of a tree, eyes open, breathing, completely still. He looked at me, but it wasn't him looking. You want to know what was looking back at me through my brother's eyes? So do I. Because whatever went into that forest with him didn't all come back out. My name is Kalade, and this is the story of what my family has been carrying for 3 generations. What my grandfather started, what my brother almost paid for, and what I am terrified my children will one day have to face. My grandmother gave us warnings every dry season. Not stories, not folklore, warnings. Specific, repeated, given with both hands on your face so you understood she was not decorating the air with words. The last warning was always about the forest. She said, "If you hear it call you, do not answer. If it sounds like someone you love, do not answer. If it knows your name and uses it perfectly, do not answer." We thought it was an old woman's fear, village superstition. What did we know? My brother, Tunde, knew least of all. He was the one who went to university, the one who wore a suit and spoke in boardrooms and believed that the distance between him and our grandfather's village was permanent. He was wrong about that. Our grandfather had left land, several acres of bush at the edge of the old village, land that had sat untouched since his death because my father refused, absolutely, without explanation, to go near it or sell it or speak about it. Tunde had been offered real money for that land, a development company, a serious offer. He called my father. My father said no. Tunde called me. He said our father was letting superstition cost the family real money. He said he was going to drive out there and assess the land himself. I told him about grandmother's warning. Do you know what he said? He laughed. Not unkindly, just the laugh of a man who has already decided. He drove out on a Thursday morning. He told his wife he would be back by evening. By midnight, she called me. His car was found at the edge of the village. Engine off, door open, keys still in the ignition. No Tunde. I drove 4 hours through the night. The village elder met me at the road before sunrise. He was old. He had known my grandfather. He looked at me with the face of a man who had been expecting this moment for a very long time. He told me things my father had never told us. My grandfather had made an arrangement, not with lawyers, the older kind, the kind that binds every person who carries his blood after him. What did he trade? What did he receive in return? The elder would not tell me everything, but here is what he said. The forest at the edge of the family land was no longer ordinary forest. Something lived in it that had been invited in. And what is invited in does not leave simply because the man who invited it is dead. It fed on acknowledgement. If you ignored it, if you refused to answer when it called, it could not hold you. But if you answered, even once, even a single word, you had given it something it could use. It had been collecting voices for 3 generations. My grandfather's voice was in there. Others it had taken over the decades. Wanderers, people who strayed too close. And what did it do with those voices? It used them to call new ones in. I asked the elder, when Tunde heard it call, whose voice did it use? He said, the voice a person finds most impossible to ignore. For your brother, most likely your father's. My brother, who had a difficult relationship with our father, who had been trying to close the distance between them his whole adult life. He heard our father's voice calling from that forest, and he walked toward it. Subscribe to Nightfall Chronicles right now. What I found in that forest, and what came back wearing my brother's face, is the part I have never told anyone in full until tonight. The elders showed me the path. One rule above everything else: no matter what you hear inside that forest, do not make a sound. I went in alone before full sunrise. The forest was wrong. Not frightening exactly, wrong. Like a recording of a forest, rather than a real one. The birds sounded almost right. The wind sounded almost right. Everything was 1 degree away from what it should have been. Have you ever been somewhere that looked completely normal, but felt like a performance? Like something was imitating the world, rather than being it? That is what that forest felt like. I found Tunde 20 minutes in, sitting at the base of a large tree, exactly as I described at the beginning. Eyes open, breathing, completely still. Looking at me in a way that was not quite looking. What do you do when you find someone you love, but you are not sure who is behind their eyes? You take their arm, you walk, you do not stop. That is what I did. We were halfway back to the path when I heard it, my grandmother's voice, coming from somewhere behind us and to the left. Not a scream, not desperate. Her voice exactly the way it sounded when she called us in from play as children. Warm, familiar, crossing distance perfectly. She called my name. My grandmother had been dead for 6 years. I kept walking. She called again, more precise this time, more perfectly her. The specific note of my name in her mouth. The thing that belonged only to her. The thing no recording could replicate. How do you keep walking when the voice you hear is the one voice in the world you would do anything to hear one more time? You keep walking. You keep walking because you made a promise. And because somewhere beneath the grief and the longing, there is a part of you that knows this is not her. This is something that studied her. Something that took her voice from whatever piece of her got too close to this place. And it is using everything she was to stop your feet. And then it stopped calling my name and started calling Tunde's, using my voice. Let me be very clear about what I am telling you. I was standing in that forest holding my brother's arm, moving forward, not speaking, and from somewhere behind us, my voice, my exact voice, calling Tunde's name. What does it feel like to hear yourself calling someone you love into darkness? I cannot describe it. I can only tell you that Tunde slowed beside me. I gripped his arm harder. I pulled him forward. My voice behind us called his name again. Patient, unhurried. The way you call someone when you know they will eventually turn around. We reached the road. The sound stopped, instantly, like a switch. Tunde came back. His body came back. But he came back with a gap in himself where there's hours had been. A silence where there used to be something. It took 3 months before his eyes looked like his again. 3 months before I stopped watching him the way you watch someone you are not completely sure about. How do you love someone back to themselves? How do you reach across whatever distance the forest put between him and his own mind? Slowly, carefully, without asking him to explain what he could not explain. He never speaks of it. He never visits the village. He sold his share of the land immediately at far below the offered price and has never once regretted it. My father called me the day after we returned. I still do not know how he found out so quickly. He said, "I should have told you both years ago. I thought distance was protection." I asked him, "What exactly did grandfather arrange? What are we still carrying?" He said, "The arrangement is tied to the land. As long as we hold it, it has a claim on us, every generation, until someone answers and does not come back." So why have we not released the land? Why are we still holding something that costs us this much? My father answered that question in a single sentence. He said, "Because it belonged to my father, and I cannot let go of the last thing that was his." The land is still ours. I have children now, a son and a daughter. They do not know yet. They are still young enough that the world has one layer. But when they are old enough, I will hold their faces in both hands. I will look at them the way my grandmother looked at me, and I will tell them what she told me. If it calls you, do not answer. If it sounds like someone you love, do not answer. If it sounds exactly like me, do not answer. Because it already has my voice. It took it from me in that forest, the day I went in to bring my brother back. I just didn't know it until I heard myself calling Tunde's name again last year, from outside my children's bedroom window at 3 a.m. Kolade sent me this account 7 months ago. The last paragraph, the one about the window, he added 3 weeks after the original submission. Just those 4 lines, no explanation. I replied asking if he was all right, if his children were safe. He said, "We are still here. That is all I can tell you." The land is still in the family. The forest is still there. And something in it now has a voice it should not have. I think about his children, too young to know the warning yet, too young to understand that somewhere in the dark outside their window, something is learning how they sound when they laugh, when they call for their father, when they say his name, studying them, collecting them, being patient. If you have a story your family carries, something passed down through generations, something you were warned about as a child, send it to me. The address is in the description. These stories don't have endings. Not really. Subscribe to Nightfall Chronicles. Something new finds you every week. Check the corners of the room before you sleep.